Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Virtual Cheese Awards 2023. I'm Gautam Krishna. I'll be the moderator for this session. So the Virtual Cheese Awards will be showcasing the best of British cheeses. Joining me is Hero Hirsch and Richard Newell, both amazing and marvelous judges. I'd like to let them introduce themselves. Hero.
So my name's Hero Hirsch. I work at Paxton and Whitfield. Paxton and Whitfield is the UK's oldest cheesemonger. I'm not the UK's oldest cheesemonger, thankfully. Very excited to be trying this class today. Looking forward to some exciting cheeses.
Richard.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Richard Newell. I've worked in the British cheese industry for just slightly over 40 years in lots of different guises and for lots of different companies. Part of my role has been sort of benchmarking and technical sales with delicatessens and retailers. So I'm delighted to be judging these classes today.
Brilliant. So the judges will be scoring on the point system. So they will assign a score to different attributes of the cheese. And at the end, the cheese with most points wins and goes through to the next stage. So today's class will be judging goat's milk soft cheese. And the first entry would be F71145. We'll start with the appearance.
So we've got small white rounded goat's cheese. I think we may see quite a few of those this afternoon. Fairly even and uniform rind on this, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it's very well presented and more Candida than Geotrichum, but lovely.
Yeah, definitely. It's less wrinkly and more sort of fluffy, isn't it? For appearance, do we want to have a look on the inside as well?
I think it might be worth seeing how far through the paste goes.
Yeah, looks like quite a nice sort of delicate thin rind on that. Actually, I'm quite pleased with that. So appearance, I'd go relatively high for this, probably.
Yeah, I'm just noticing that the writing's it's happened about a third of the way through so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would we say for appearance? 9, Hero?
Yeah, I was thinking 8.5, 9-ish.
8.5?
Yeah, let's go there.
8.5. Okay.
Okay.
Aroma next.
There's not much aroma. It's really quite subtle.
Yeah, one of my pet hates with goat's cheese is when it's gone on too far and it becomes too astringent, and this is quite delicate, isn't it? Very pleasant.
I can barely detect an aroma, so
you get the mushroomy notes from the rind. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think this is quite a young cheese, isn't it, Hero? It's certainly not, the paste hasn't gone through to the centre by any means.
Yeah, quite. It's still got, you could take this a little bit further, couldn't you, in terms of ripeness?
Yeah, I think so.
Out of 10 for aroma, I'm finding it difficult because there's not a great deal there to mark.
It's got no vices, has it?
Yeah, quite.
So shall we sort of go for a 7?
7, yeah, that's where I was thinking.
7. Texture.
It's nice and even.
The texture is so dependent on a week, and as you know, brie type mold ripened cheeses, they can they'll carry on maturing at refrigeration temperature. So it's a real tough call, particularly if you buy, if you buy from a retailer, dare I say, getting that window of opportunity right is really difficult. So I think it's really nicely made cheese.
It is, yeah, very uniform, very even. Nothing in there that I'm sort of worried about. the rind is nice and thin, which I think helps the texture because it's like a tiny bit papery, but because it's so delicate, it doesn't overwhelm. So texture wise, I would say a fairly high score for me.
Yeah,
like an 8.
I'm fine with that.
8 for the texture.
Just before we move on, it's just worth us clarifying, because for its age, the texture is really, really good. But if we're looking for something that's fully ripened and got paste right through to the center, it wouldn't measure up. So are we going to judge it on whether it's reached its correct degree of maturity and therefore paste, or are we going to say, yeah, this is a super cheese with a good body and texture that's got legs to go on to make something fabulous?
I'm sort of falling into the latter camp, really.
Yeah, okay.
I think like there's a degree of like selection, isn't there, which would make it a more award-worthy cheese if it were perhaps a little bit more ripe. But
it'd probably score higher on flavor if that was the case.
Yeah, I don't think this is ever going to go fully, ripened.
Sure.
Okay. I think we just have to judge on what's in front of us, if this is and say that this is the intention, that it should look like this, even if we're aware that we could, play around with that as in terms of age profile.
So for me, that's an 8 on texture then. Possibly slightly higher.
Yeah, I'm happy with an 8.
An 8. Moving on to the flavor.
I've already tried the flavor.
Very clean.
Very fresh. Delicate.
Still very
Moorish,
curdy, isn't
very
it?
pleasant. Very nice.
Very pleasant. It's not complex.
No. I think the complexity will come with a couple more weeks ripening.
It's not hugely exciting, but it is, I think, it's technically good.
Go on then.
I just don't know that I would rush back for it, because it is a good cheese. It's been well made. It just doesn't excite me particularly.
Yeah, sure. It's you would say it's quite safe cheese. It'd be a really good introductory cheese to soft goats, wouldn't it?
Definitely a good gateway goat.
Coin that phrase. Should we go 8 again, or are you thinking?
I'm more feeling a 7, just because it's not sort of thrilling me, but
okay, we'll go with the 7. I've you're at the sharper end of the soft cheese side of things with your particular line of trade. I've been quite heavily involved in the past in a brie type dairy, but not in the sort of the commercial presentation side. So I think, yeah, we'll go with that. Super.
7 for flavor.
Yep.
So moving on to the next cheese, that'll be F71095.
Okay. Appearance wise, we've got a log, clearly. I think perhaps with a little bit of ash on it, maybe.
Not sure if it's ash or geotrichum, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Very slightly sticky on the surface, moist.
It is, yeah. Mine's slightly sticky. I don't think it's too sticky. I'm not too concerned by how sticky it is, but yeah, it is noticeable that maybe it's spent some time on one side. Perhaps that was a transit. Appearance wise, I mean, I'm looking forward to trying that. From the appearance, I think it's
great theatre, hasn't it?
Yeah, and cutting into it the rind is very delicate looking. I'm not concerned that that's going to be chewy in any way. So appearance, I'd go relatively high.
Yep.
Where were we last cheese? Was it about 8 and 8?
8.5.
8.5. I'm feeling like this is as good or a little better.
So shall we 9 this on appearance?
I think let's 9 this on appearance. I do think.
How would you get a soft goat's cheese looking any better than that? It's got theatre and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one mark is just maybe on some of the sticky patches or the fact it sort of hasn't been turned, but I don't want it to be.
You don't sort of, yeah.
9 is an excellent score.
9 for the appearance. Now moving to aroma.
Aroma, sorry, I'm already trying to eat it. So I really want to.
You're going in there, are you?
There's a lot to that.
There is. There's a sweetness to it.
Yeah.
And don't laugh now, because I hate doing all these silly sort of hints of bubblegum, you know, more.
Oh.
It's almost floral, isn't it?
It is, definitely. There's a light sort of herby floral.
I really like it.
Yeah, so I think we'd go relatively high for aroma as well, wouldn't we?
Should we do a 9 again, or do you think that's too
I think we could go a 9.
and texture?
9 for the.
It's a lovely, soft, even texture. You can see in terms of breakdown, it seems to be ripening quite evenly.
Yes, quite young still.
Mouthfeel wise, we've got something really moussey.
Oh, creamy.
I think that's an excellent texture for this style.
9 again.
Yeah, 9 again.
9 again for the texture. Going on to the flavor.
I need to make sure I don't eat too much of this because we've still got quite a few cheeses to go, but I think that delivers everything I was expecting from the aroma. Just the right amount of goatiness. It's not overpowering.
Yeah, very, very slight farmy note to it. Which I was waiting to be completely wowed, and I wasn't completely wowed.
It's quite restrained, I think. That texture is really, sorry, I need to concentrate on flavor.
I think it wowed you more than me, perhaps. For me, the flavor's an 8.
Okay. I'm just trying to think what more I would want from a goat's cheese in this style. It does have that sort of grassy herbiness. The floral maybe doesn't translate quite as well from the aroma to the palate. I'd be going for an 8.5.
Okay. For me, I was thinking, because it's clearly young and there's plenty of time for flavour to develop, it had a disproportionately high flavour level for the light aroma and the delicate and the the age of it. So yeah, 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
8.5.
very nice, lovely cheese.
I need to put it down.
Yes, you'll be full.
Right. Moving on to the third cheese, which is F71082.
Okay. A very interesting looking cheese.
Wow.
So we've got like an ashed pyramid almost, and I don't know, let's have a look at yours. Yeah, I think they both have had the same fate here, which is a bit of kind of I guess bagginess, like the rind has kind of slipped about a bit and kind of created a bit of a foot.
An elephant's foot, as we call it in the blue cheese industry.
Yeah, it does have some elephant foot. So I think appearance wise, that's a bit of a downgrade from me.
Definitely got the ash. You can see when we've cut it, you can see where the ash has gone down the paste.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a real shame how much rind there is just at the bottom there. I think appearance-wise, whilst there's some charm to it, I think that is a bit of a fault.
Okay.
That there's these sort of additional bits of rind here. What do you think appearance-wise? Where are we going to go with this?
Well, I'll defer to your experience on the fact that it had slumped, because I thought it looked quite wow. So I was just like an 8 or an 8.5 for that, because it stands out to me.
Sure. I don't know. I just have a few concerns about the appearance. I think it doesn't look like it's meant to do that.
Okay.
I think there may be some unintentional things that have caused it to look like that. I probably wouldn't go above a 7.
Yeah, and I was. Shall we have 7.5 it? Could you live with that?
I can live with it.
7.5.
Because I'm just noticing we've got the same ridges on the top as well. So.
Okay.
Okay, moving to
aroma.
I'm not going to quibble with you over 0.5 point. If you feel that 7 is your top of your range, we'll go with 7.
I'm not going to quibble with you over a 0.5 point either. 7.5 is fine. Let's do aroma.
Love the lemony aroma. Citrus.
Quite a lot going on the bottom, isn't there?
Wow.
Every part of this cheese has a different aroma. There's a lot to it, and it's very complex, and it's actually very pleasant. So I would score it fairly well for aroma. You think like an 8?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
An 8 for the aroma.
Mm-hmm.
Moving to the texture.
Texture, we've got a fairly uneven ripening happening here. The top of the cheese, it really hasn't broken down at all under the rind, whereas the bottom, we've got the whole rind as sort of, formed a sort of layer at the bottom. Mouthfeel wise, it is a tiny bit almost grainy, isn't it? Like a little bit sort of floury. I don't love that texture.
Seems very young to me. Still chalky, isn't it?
I'd probably be going around a 6 for texture.
Okay, I'll go with that.
6 for texture. How's the flavor looking like?
For me, having tried it when we did the texture just now, getting in a slight metallic note. I know it sounds like I'm being all negative.
No, the rind has some quite bitter and sort of metallic notes to it. I think there's bitterness in the paste as well, that I am sort of left with quite a bit more bitterness than I might expect for this style.
Yes.
I feel like maybe it doesn't feel like there's enough salt, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm not really getting any kind of salty, savory notes. I think there's things that are happening around that rind that are really overpowering the flavor of the milk.
Yes, I was expecting something, because it was light and young and had a lovely fresh floral aroma. I was expecting a flavor to follow it, and it's quite significantly more punchy, let's say.
Yeah.
Metallic bitter note. So it's a shame, really.
Flavor-wise, I'd be tempted to go around a 5-6 mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that a 5 or a 6?
A 6, I think.
Yeah.
6.
Thank you.
Our next cheese would be F71064.
1064, did you say?
1064, yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
So we have another ashed cheese with a geotrichum rind. This one's sort of more barrel shaped.
Yes, a nice little truckle.
Yeah. It looks like a nicely made cheese, actually. It's nice and upright. A couple of sticky patches. Again, nothing that I'm concerned about there. I think I'm going to go into mine this way.
Okay.
You
can see where I've just smeared the ash down the paste again.
So appearance-wise, I think it looks very nice, actually. I'd say an 8.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, definitely 8, 8.5 even.
I'll go 8.5 if
8
you're happy with that.
1/2.
Yeah.
Yep.
Aroma. That's nice. It's got that floral character again.
Not dissimilar actually to the previous one.
I'm very happy with that aroma. I'd probably go an 8 again.
Yep. Agreed.
8 for the aroma.
We've got quite a big class here, haven't we? We almost need to be making some little notes as well, because I can see that we're going to have some with very similar scores.
Yes. Yeah. Texture wise, it's very silky. It's interesting. It looks, you can see a little bit of the curd structure still in this. It's not just totally uniform and fine. There's actually some little fissures through it, but mouthfeel wise, it's very silky and sort of quite smooth.
Very nice young fresh. This word nice again. Young fresh goat's cheese.
That rind is really delicate.
Yep. Getting a savoury, bit of a savoury note on it.
Which is delicious. Not wanting to skip forward to the flavour notes. So texture wise, I'm very happy with that. I'd be saying a high score, like a 9.
Okay.
Or less.
It's not one of these that's going to ripen through and run away down. It's not that type of character of cheese, and I think it's very consistent, very uniform. So yeah, happy with that.
Okay.
Happy with the 9.
And for flavour,
for flavour, it's interesting actually. Now I've had it for a minute. I think I'm not as fond of the flavour right at the end, but actually when I was eating it, it was very, very pleasant. Nice.
I think it's got plenty of acid going on. I think you get the old mouth water afterwards.
Yeah.
Are you an 8 for that?
I think I'm an 8, yeah.
Yep, same here.
8 for the flavour.
Making a couple of notes here for myself. There we are.
Right, the next cheese would be F71065.
1065.
Okay, we're back to logs.
Yeah, it looks highly similar to the previous.
Yes, it does.
Just wonder if it's a different variation on a theme from the same supplier, but who knows?
So nice and even. I've got quite a lot of the ash has settled on one side of this cheese, which isn't necessarily a problem, just an observation. Appearance wise, I think it looks like a very well made cheese. I'm not concerned about any of the ripening on that or any of the signs that it's showing on the outside. The ripening is maybe not that even. I've got one side which is sort of all glistening just under the rind, and then one side which is still quite sort of unripe. But
so from an appearance perspective,
I'm looking forward to it. I'd say it's an 8.5.
Yeah, and I was 8.5 again.
Yeah, let's go 8.5. I think it is a very attractive looking cheese.
Moving to the aroma.
Delicate.
Yeah, I've got a hint of something quite almost ammonia-y, but it's very subtle.
Oh, I didn't get that. Wonder if that's where the mold has just broken some paste down. Looking, can you see here?
Yeah, I think where there's a slightly damper patch at the bottom, maybe.
Not sure if the camera will pick that up, but there, it's becoming runny here. So
it's, I think it is coming from that sort of seam in the cheese, the slightly riper bit.
Yes, that would make sense.
But it's quite subtle. I'm not sure that I would downgrade it very heavily on that, but it's just.
We've generally got a high standard here, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're almost what's the term? Picking straws or whatever. That's not the term. You know what I mean? But,
thinking an 8 for aroma.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
An 8 for aroma. Going to the texture.
Texture, it looks like it's ripening nicely, fairly evenly. The texture is
creamy, lovely.
Yeah, it sort of coats the mouth quite nicely, doesn't it?
Yep, it's not claggy.
I think that's a really good texture.
Yep.
Yeah.
9 for me.
Yeah, I'll go 9.
And how's the taste?
Flavor. I think this has lots of lovely savory vegetable sort of notes at the front. But also something quite delicate and kind of grassy, herby.
Actually not dissimilar to the previous cheese we just tried. That was I don't agree with you on that.
No, I do. I didn't want to draw comparisons, especially if they're not, from connected producers. Sure. I do think in its own right that this is really delicious.
What would you give it for flavour?
A 9.
Okay. Yeah.
Possibly an 8.5. What would you give it?
Well, I was in the 8 zone with it, but
okay.
Shall we do an 8.5? You clearly like that a lot.
I think that's pretty accomplished bit of cheese.
8.5 for the flavour.
Super.
Moving on to the next cheese, the F71066.
An interesting variation on the thing.
This is so snowy white, I almost don't want to touch it in case I've got ash on my fingers. Okay, got a lovely looking rind here. It's really wrinkly, isn't it?
Yeah, loads of character.
Yeah, and nice like firm. There's no sort of baggy bits in that rind. It's just adhering nicely to the cheese. Very even. I think that looks really nice. I'm very, very pleased with the appearance of that.
What would you give it?
I don't know what else I would want from a cheese in this style. Maybe a 9, maybe a 9.5.
Wow.
I mean, what more do you want?
We'll go with a 9. I quite
Okay.
like the ones that have a differentiation in colour,
Mhm.
from a personal perspective rather than a true to type. But we'll go with 9. Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
A 9.
I'm happy with 9. I think it is an accomplishment in itself to get something that's
So uniform.
yeah. Oh, aroma.
Yep. Quite savoury for me, that.
Yeah. It's pleasant. It's not overwhelming. I don't pick up any aroma that I'm concerned about.
No, it's got no vices at all.
Yeah. Where are we heading with this then?
Well, I'm just thinking that there was one we looked at earlier on in the session that was quite floral and got plenty of pizzazz, whereas this one is perfectly pleasant, but it's not particularly in your face for anything. It's just safe.
Yeah, it's
a 7.5 or an 8 for me, I would say.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
So we say 7.5 or?
Yeah, let's go 7.5.
So texture-wise?
Texture-wise, it is a very, very even texture. I mean, it really hasn't started to kind of break down very much. We're looking at a fairly kind of young-ish cheese.
Yeah, very, very young.
Very, very even.
Start of its journey.
The texture is very good, though. It's like a sort of quite moussey, but more like a dense, more like a parfait, like a sort of like a parfait kind of texture than a mousse.
Yeah, I couldn't give it anything other than a 9 for texture, really.
That's a 9 for texture.
And not claggy either. It doesn't sort of coat. It's sort of just there for the right amount of time. Flavor. I think it's nicely balanced. I really do like this cheese.
I'm thinking here, we're eating quite a few samples here where they're so young, and we're having to split hairs to find something to say about them because they haven't had time for a huge amount of character yet. So
I would serve this at this age, though. I think it would be very.
Yeah, I think it
I
works.
would like to.
Slightly acidic again, tangy, shall we say? Let's give it a better descriptor.
Yeah.
Clean, fresh. It's not this Billy Goat's armpit or any. There's none of that. I'm an 8.5 on flavour. I think you're.
I'd go 8.5.
Okay.
8.5.
Thank you.
Probably making it quite tight at the top there, but
Yeah,
it's really good cheese.
We're going to be revisiting some.
I suspect so.
So moving on to the next cheese, which will be F71067.
Thank you. Now that's got some interesting character and theatre.
Yeah. Now this, I think there's going to be a little more going on. This feels a little bit more ripened than some of them that we've been trying. It's a different type of rind, so we've got a fluffy kind of Canadian rind rather than the wrinkly ones that we've been tasting the last few cheeses.
It's done a lot more work. You only need to give it a gentle squeeze to feel the soft paste underneath the rind.
Yeah.
Lovely.
I think for appearance, I'm going to have a look inside as well. So we've got.
For the viewers, you can see there's plenty more going on.
Yeah.
The first sort of half to 3/4 of a centimetre, you can see where the paste is really being broken down.
Yeah, I do have quite a bit of daylight between the rind and the cheese in mine.
Yeah, can you see I have the slit across the body of the cheese right the way down?
Mine's
I've not seen that before.
I mean, appearance wise, it's an interesting appearance. I mean, it's quite a striking looking cheese.
Yeah, I love it.
As a cross section, I mean, the rind is quite thick, but maybe that mark doesn't belong in this section. Maybe purely on the sort of theatrical side, we should mark it upwards. Like a 7.5.
Is that where you are?
Maybe an
9, 9.5. It just wowed me how it looked.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess there's some things about the appearance that are leading me to think that leading me to make assumptions about the way it's going to taste.
Look further. Yeah.
One of which being that the rind thickness, but I'm happy to go upwards for appearance because we'll come to those as we look at texture and flavour. So I could see it with an 8.5.
That will do.
Because it is a striking looking thing.
It looks super, doesn't it? You've got to be said.
Yeah.
8.5 for appearance.
Yep.
Going on to the aroma.
Quite sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Mushroomy.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued to know why there's this openness. Can you see?
Yeah. I mean, so aroma wise, it's a tiny bit of ammonia, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Not concerned about that. Aroma wise, what we're going like a 8.
Yeah. I'm eating it already. Look.
Okay. Let's talk texture. It's not particularly evenly ripened. We've got some very, very broken down bits, and
it's quite variable. And the top third of the cheese is on it is breaking down, but the bottom isn't really for me.
Yeah.
So
that rind is quite chewy.
Oh yes.
Especially if you're sort of left with it.
You're left with some rind between your teeth, aren't you? So what are we, a 7 for the body and texture?
Yeah. I probably wouldn't go any higher than a 7.
7.
Would you go lower?
Texture?
I might go to a 6, but
shall we 6.5 it then?
Sure.
Do you feel comfortable with that? Because
I feel comfortable with a 6.5. If you do.
Yeah, I
think
so.
6.5 for the texture. Moving on to the flavor.
I think there's some good points and some less good points in the flavor. The cheese kind of at the center has a nice balance of savory and grassy and goaty notes, and it's really quite delicious, and it has the best texture. Where it's broken down and on the rind, I'm getting quite a lot of bitterness, and like raw mushroom, which
I get that.
Which I'm not loving the two with each other. I'm end up with something a little bit kind of bitter at the end with that rind. So yeah, I think there's some good points and bad points in it.
I'm left with quite a nice quite a pleasant aftertaste though. So where are you with that? 7-ish?
it's difficult because I just had like a little bit from the center, and it really is, you know, a great cheese to start with. I just think that the way that the rind's developed is not kind of serving the cheese very well.
Okay.
I wouldn't
So
go
you're
any higher than I wouldn't go higher than a 7.
Are you thinking 6?
I think 7's. I think a 7.
Okay.
Oh, unless you were thinking lower, in which case.
No, I wasn't.
Were
I
you
was
thinking
just
higher?
intrigued. These things, this is people's craft and hard work, and we're there sort of on like a negotiating table. But I think sometimes the questioning draws out extra. So yeah, lovely appearance.
So is that a 7 for the texture?
Yes, please.
7 for the taste.
Flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there really, I mean, that really is, there's some good points to that cheese. I just think.
Sometimes when you're judging at cheese shows, you can have a whole raft of samples that don't particularly deliver. And conversely, as we've got now, you've got many samples and they're all rather good.
Yeah.
You know, and we have this unenviable task of sort of picking between them and coming up with a result.
Right. Moving on to the next cheese, F71069.
There we are.
Looks rather familiar.
It does. I wonder if it's the brother or sister to the one we looked at just now.
That'd be interesting to know. If, I mean, I guess we'll work on the basis that it's not, and say we have a drum or barrel shaped geotrichum rinded with some ash.
Yes, and you cut across, I'll cut down.
See, looking inside, I'm not sure that it is the same cheese. It's quite different. It looks great, actually. I think that looks really wonderful. Nice even ripening, totally snow white paste.
Looks very similar to me. I have to say
it does look very similar, but nonetheless,
we'll check it out on its merits.
Exactly. I mean, appearance wise, I would go quite high for that.
Yep.
An
8.5.
Yeah, no, I'd say so.
8.5. Going to the aroma.
Something in there
that's a truffle.
There is something. I was struggling to identify that it's sort of some vegetable, isn't it?
It's truffle.
Okay.
I wonder if that's by design or by accident.
It's not noticeable on the rind though.
Oh. Now I've dialed in. I'm getting truffle.
Yeah, totally from the paste, but I'm not getting that at all on the rind.
Truffle.
I like it. I think it smells good. I'd probably say an 8.
Yep.
An 8 for the aroma.
I'm good with that.
Going to the texture.
Very uniform, but again, it's like many of the ones we've looked at. It's really at the start of its journey.
It's nice, even, quite moussey. Maybe the tiniest bit sort of claggy, but it sort of clings.
I'd agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But I think it's just as a consequence of its age.
Yeah, but smooth though.
We have to look at the cheese as it is on the day, and that's all there is to it. It's just a straightforward 7.5 for me.
7.5, I'd say.
7.5. Coming to the flavors.
Got more going on than some of them.
Yeah. Do you think it is flavoured? It's so subtle, but it is there.
I just don't know the answer to that.
Hmm.
Does it work? Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
I'm
I think
probably
it does.
I'm probably an 8.5 on that for flavour.
I'd be quite comfortable with that.
8.5.
Let me put it back together and wrap it, because I'm sure we're going to be doing some revisits, as we said earlier.
Hopefully we don't have to compare it to the one that looks very similar. If there's a tie break, that'd be tough.
It
I suppose
looks
if you're
exactly
making
the same
cheese and
from
you
here.
put 2 samples in and one wins, you've won, haven't you?
Moving on to the next cheese, F71062.
Ta-da! If you can undo the top and I can't, I'll be embarrassed forever. Ah.
I loosened mine earlier.
Did you?
I didn't want anything untoward to happen in this environment, so I just checked.
That was great planning, Hero. Great planning.
I brought a little slotted spoon as well.
Ooh.
So we haven't done the appearance bit yet, have we, really?
No, okay, so good point. I quite like the jar, actually. I know we're not judging on packaging here, so I probably shouldn't admit that to the notes, but these orchid style jars I think are great.
Works though, doesn't it, on appearance, whatever it's in?
Yeah,
They look great. They're novel, aren't they?
I think they're a nice size for this kind of format.
Can you imagine those at a dinner party? They'd definitely generate discussion, wouldn't they? Most of it wholesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, appearance, I'd go relatively, and actually just getting them out and having a look at the individual cheeses rather than the packaging, because we haven't judged anything else on the packaging. We probably should be doing that consistently.
They're a labour of love. You wouldn't want an order for 8 tons of those, would you?
I think they're very attractive cheeses. I would go relatively high for appearance.
I'm a 9 on appearance.
I'll go 9.
We're absolutely in the premium end of the spectrum, aren't we? And we're looking at interest and adventure, and it seems to deliver. Aroma, smell oil.
Yeah, I've just cut into one.
I have to say, Hero, I can't smell anything.
No, I'm not getting a great deal of that.
I've got quite a sensitive nose. So.
I think any closer and I'll get the cheese on my nose. There's not a huge amount to judge in terms of aroma. I'm not getting anything untoward, but equally, I don't think I would go a high score because there's nothing really there to promote.
It's a 7 because it's not offensive and there's nothing to actually assess, really.
Yeah, no, I'd be comfortable with that. There's nothing bad, but also not enough to go high. Texture.
So creamy.
They're very soft and creamy, aren't they?
Exceptionally creamy. They almost melt in the mouth, don't they?
Really, really smooth. There's no graininess to this curd at all. It's just.
They're really, really nice, aren't they? I would actually, at a dinner party, spread one of those on a cracker, and push it down. Considering it's so young, it's over-delivering.
Texture-wise, I think we should go a 9.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah.
9 for the texture. How does it taste like?
They're really delicious.
It's superb. It's fresh, light. It's got no vices, and it's not tasteless. It's just very nice, lovely, pleasant.
And for something so young, it's really, like you said, it's delivering a lot.
I'm asterisking that one on my little notes.
Yes, well, you won't forget it in a hurry. Yeah, really delicious. I'd say, like, if I'm finding tiny faults, I would like the oil to be a little bit more delicious. I think if it was a better oil, then you wouldn't be able to keep me away from these. But the cheese is so good, but the oil is just could really elevate it.
But then would we be judging an oil competition or a cheese competition?
Yeah, that's true. Would it overpower on some level? Perhaps.
Could you put these cheese into different oil if you so wished?
Yeah, probably wouldn't bother, but
Yep, for me there.
But then, are we judging just
How could I miss a mouth like that?
Purely on the merit of the cheese or the whole product? What are we thinking?
I think we have to go on the cheese.
I'd go really high for the cheese. I'm feeling a 9.
Yeah, that's what I've just written down for myself.
Yeah.
9
Beautiful.
for the flavor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Very happy with that.
Our next cheese would be F71225.
Oh, now this is going to be interesting.
Oh, right.
Just for the viewers, we sort of partially open the wrapper to make life easy, but this is actually nicely adhered to the wrapper. So
Mine's exploded.
Well matured, very well matured, and almost sort of almost like in a sort of a character of red blush on, almost ready to run out onto the board, you know.
Mine's exploded, so I've got quite a lot of the inside of the cheese on the outside, and just doing some detective work. That's not the first time that this has happened to this cheese, because it's already on the other side. That's happened and it's dried up again.
Don't know if there's too much light. You can see this for the viewers. It's extremely well broken down.
Yeah.
And you could almost sort of pick it up and it could drop in 2 pieces if one wasn't careful.
I'm a bit concerned about some aspects of the appearance of this cheese, just sort of the structural integrity of it, that it's a little bit uneven, that it's a little bit unevenly ripe, maybe perhaps a little bit over ripened, and it's causing it to
go on. Nail your colours to the mast. Appearance out of 10.
A 5.5.
Okay. I'm a 7 because I like the look of it.
Okay. You think 6 for charm?
Shall we do that?
Sure.
Yep.
Super.
6 for appearance and the aroma.
Well, it smells very, very candida moldy.
Yeah,
so
there's a
cut
lot of
inside it
mushrooms
because I want
in
to smell inside. Wow, look at that.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, there's some serious.
That's well on. That's fully right. Yours the same. I've just missed my keyboard actually. I'm going to have a cleaning up operation in a minute.
Yes, I think we might need to have a 2-minute board break after this one. Appearance. Are we on appearance still? No, we've done appearance.
Oh, yeah, aroma.
It smells very clean. Slight savoury. Bit of ammonia coming through as you'd expect.
Yeah, quite a bit of ammonia.
We need a spoon really for this.
Yeah.
I mean, just for the viewers, I'm just going to turn the board around just to look at the collateral damage there.
It just collapsed.
I think the aroma is okay. Maybe a 7.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. 7. I'd have even gone to an 8.
7, yeah, 7 or an 8, 7.5 maybe.
Okay. It's
7.5.
totally, mine is totally broken down.
Yeah, texture wise, I have some concerns about the evenness of ripening and the.
I don't think we're allowed to swear on this. It might bloody well ripe all the way through.
I've still got a tiny. There's a little bit of center in mine, but
You've got a little bit of
it is
chalk. I haven't
mostly.
got any chalkiness. I've got nothing. It's
It's
all
like
broken
a
down now.
like a very lone swimmer in the center of my pool of cheese.
You'd scoop this up with some crusty bread, wouldn't you?
So texture wise,
I'm an 8
taking
with
all of
it.
that into account, including the rind which is quite.
The rind is thick, but then again, it's been working hard, hasn't it?
It has. It's been moderately successful at keeping the cheese in place.
Yeah, I mean it's liquid inside. Mine had held on even with all the transit. Shall we go? Can I tempt you into an 8 for that?
I do think that the just how liquid it is not how I would hope for the breakdown for it to be a little bit like have I just feel like if I turn my back it would escape.
Yes, I get that.
But I don't think that's how I really want this cheese to be. I think
Do you think it's how it should be though?
I don't know. I have some issues with cheese being that runny.
You're a 7 then, are you?
I'm a 7.
I'm an 8.
Okay. I mean, I might be a 6.
I might be a 9. Well, viewers, you want entertainment, so you've got entertainment.
Yeah, okay. We knew there was going to be a fight at some point. Come on.
Right, 7 it is.
We could go 7.5. How's that?
Say again.
7.5?
It's a deal. And if you're the manufacturer, if you're the producer of this, well done you.
How is it tasting like?
Okay, I don't know quite how to move this on now, and if we need to revisit this, I don't know what I'm going to do.
We've got 3 quite distinct layers here, each with a different flavour. I find the rind there's quite a bit of ammonia on the rind and a bit of bitterness. Then we've got this sort of.
I have to keep it back for later, but I don't quite know how I'm going to do it. Okay, and I'm going to put tissue under that. One moment. It doesn't.
I actually think it's quite a tasty cheese, but I don't like what the rind is bringing to the party very much. Yeah. I think everything happening in the middle is actually better than I expected. A little bit salty, but the rind I'm just finding is a bit thick and bringing something.
Yeah.
Kind of mushroomy and ammonia-y to it that I'm not loving.
8.5 on flavour for me. You're down there, aren't you? You're lower.
I could see it get an 8.
Gold.
8 it is for the flavour.
I'm not sure if this is. I'm going to try and rescue half of it in case we need to come back to it later.
Yeah, I've actually put mine in my my sample tray on the chair here, and I've just put some kitchen towel under it because I just thought if it permeates through into the chair, I'll get shot.
It's not what you want. I might just take a second to wash my board. Is that okay?
Yes, and me too. As you can see, there's there we are.
So our next cheese would be F71218.
Oh, look at that. How adorable.
Nice, pert little individual.
It's so cute. It's like a little dumpling. Let's have a look inside.
I'm just going to make that on my notes. Hero says like a little dumpling. Does everything, does it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice size as well, I think.
Completely nicely uniform, but with some character.
Yeah, no sort of patches of, no sort of sticky or wet patches of any concern, and nicely developed rind.
9?
Yeah. Sorry, did you say 5 or 9?
9.
And 9, yes. I thought, yeah, I just wanted to check what I was
Sorry,
to there.
I was just leading you a bit there.
No, I'm very happy with that. I think it's a very nice looking bit of cheese.
Going to the aroma.
Wow.
It's clean.
It is.
Kind of quite
vegetable. Yeasty note from the.
Yeah, like yeasty vegetable. I was thinking sort of miso. I would go pretty good for aroma. Get 8, 8.5.
Yeah, I'm fine with 8.
8, great.
Got a little bit of subtle ammonia around the, you can see it's just starting to go. Have you got that? I wonder if, can you see mine is just starting right on the edge?
Yeah, I've got maybe 1 or 2 millimeters of like breakdown, maybe more like 1, most of it.
I'm more.
2 at the edges.
Yeah, I'm more. I wonder if that's just how they've transited.
Texture. It is starting to break down a little. Could be more even in terms of the breakdown, but not concerning.
Lovely. Nice creamy paste.
Yeah, it's really light, isn't it? That center there has a little bit more
substance,
acidity, and
yep.
Did you say custard?
No, I said substance.
Oh, substance,
just
right.
a little, but it's got a sheen. I don't know, I'm not sure what you can see here with the light.
Yeah, it sort of just glistens under the rind, doesn't it?
Yes.
Actually, all of the cut surface is quite glistening and are sort of ripening. Texture wise, I like that. I think the rind has a really nice texture that it's bringing to it as well.
Yeah, and it's not chewy again, stuck between your teeth. It actually breaks down nicely. So what are we on that, 8.5?
Yeah, I could see it 8.5, even
8.5.
higher, even if you wanted to, but
8.5 then. Sold.
8.5 for the texture.
Yeah.
For the flavor,
I really like this one.
I do.
Yeah,
It's got
excellent.
character, hasn't it?
Yeah,
character.
it really does. And I
It's
like
safe. I'm not left with any unpleasant after effects of any sort. It's just mellow and smooth and savoury.
little bit of like pepper in it as well, but not, you know, pepper like a throat catch pepper. It's more like the sort of flavour of pepper than the sensation of it.
Are we a 9 for that? I'm a 9.
Yeah, I'd say a 9, definitely. An easy 9.
Are you a 9.5 then?
Potentially.
I'd go with that. You've persuaded me.
Okay, let's go 9.5.
Certainly a
9.5.
lovely, a really
Yeah,
lovely
it's
cheese.
absolutely delicious.
Put that back into its packet.
Yeah, that one's going to one side.
Moving on to the next cheese. That's F71213.
1, 2, and 3.
Well,
A very similar size and shape to the last one. I don't think it's the same necessarily, unless it's a different age, but this one has, I feel like, is it maybe a little bit, without, I don't want to draw comparisons. In terms of the rind development on this, it's got a little bit more moisture, like it's maybe been wrapped up a little bit young, possibly,
yes.
that it's struggling to with the rind development.
yeah, I think we have this strange term in cheese making, and you don't like doing comparisons against others, but I'm going to. It's like the previous one, but slightly sadder, which sounds like a real negative connotation, but it's just a little bit, only an appearance. It's nothing to do with how delicious it is. And I'm sure I won't be invited to judge again. You know, I'm really going to have to learn to say it how it is. But you can see it's just slightly sloping. And there we go.
I think appearance-wise, it's just not. It's a nice size and shape, but
Look, like we said earlier, we're splitting hairs. I'm probably a 7.5 out of 10 on appearance.
I think a 7.5 is fair for this. It does look like a well-made bit of cheese. I'm just have some reservations about the rind development.
7.5 taste. And the aroma.
So
it's quite fresh. Not much to it.
just smell on the paste on the inside. It's a very, very interesting rind, isn't it? I think it's been washed in something.
I'm not sure that it's been washed, but I do think there's a moisture issue, maybe around when it was wrapped.
Yeah, okay.
It's possible it was washed. There is quite a lot of moisture on the rind.
I'm just wondering if it's a very fine rind and it's very uniform. It has a little bit of a line and like a linens type. It's ever so slight.
On aroma, I kind of think if it was washed, we might be getting a little bit more from it. So
yeah, there's not a lot happening.
On aroma, I'm sort of feeling it's around a 7.5, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say 7 because
I could say
7
actually.
Like the first one did, it's nothing bad about it, but nothing of note either.
Yeah.
So
I think 7 is fair.
7 for the aroma, texture-wise.
Now we're getting in there.
It's a fairly sort of fudgy texture, fairly even. It hasn't broken down a great deal.
If at all. It's just got that very slightly, it's not a fault, it's just as a consequence of age, it's got a very slightly dry mouthfeel to it.
It's a little bit more cloying. I mean, it's a little bit cloying.
Yep.
The
7.5 for me.
Yeah, like you say, we're splitting hairs a bit, but it's a 7.5 for me.
7.5. And the flavor?
Probably a 7.5, having just eaten it, doing the texture.
There's a couple of, yeah, I mean, it's quite a young, fresh cheese. And so what we're expecting it to deliver is quite a bit of acidity. I think the salts it's like it feels a little bit over salted and it's quite sour. I'm not really getting much goatiness from it.
It's slightly sour, and you don't really know what you've eaten. But do you know what? You'd still be happy to have it on a cheese board.
Totally. Yeah.
It delivers. It's just, we're looking for a wow, aren't we?
Exactly.
So what's the final score for flavor?
It's 7.5.
7.5.
Yep.
Moving on to the next cheese. That's F71205.
0.5?
0.5, yeah.
Yes.
This one is high security.
Yes, I can't get into this.
Interesting. There's quite a bit of, it's wrapped in a few layers of paper.
This is like pasta parcel, isn't it?
The final layer has adhered to the cheese quite a lot and has taken quite a bit of the cheese with it. I don't know if it's meant to be rinded. I hope.
Don't stop the music, Gautam. We're doing pasta parcel here.
That's
okay.
Interesting. Does yours have a rind?
I don't think it does. I just think it's a nice fresh curd.
Yeah.
Mine is to say from appearance.
Mine is kind of forming a rind in parts. And
I can't. This gentle art of tact and diplomacy.
Should I jump in?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Bail me out.
I'm a little concerned about how ununiform the shape is. I think I'm just a little bit confused about what it's angling to be, whether it's meant to have a rind or just be a sort of a bit of fresh curd. Appearance wise, I don't. It's sort of picked up quite a lot of the packaging and a couple of other molds, and so I think I would mark it down for that because it seems unintentional in the appearance.
So how much would you give it for the appearance?
Maybe a 5.5 or a 6. Yeah, 6.
6. And the aroma?
I don't think there's anything particularly nice looking about it. I think if it's going to redeem itself, it needs to be in the eating, you know.
The aroma is
nothing really. Subtle. That's the nice. Yes, subtle. Yeah, delicate. It's definitely delicate.
Yeah.
Probably a 6.5 or a 7 on aroma.
I think a 6.5 or a 7, and I'm happy for you to choose, Richard.
Thank you, madame. 6.5, please.
6.5. How's the texture looking?
It's smooth.
I think this is just a nice, gentle goat's milk, young, fresh milk, coagulated, drained in a bag, and eaten fresh and young with, if there's any salt, it's a tiny amount. And I get it. You know, it's there for a purpose. It's young and fresh, eat it now. Get the sales straight away. You don't have huge money tied up in stock. And it's very, very pleasant. Tastes better than it looks. I know we're on texture at the moment, but
yeah, texture-wise, I think it's good. I'd say it's an 8.5.
8. Yeah. Okay. 8.5.
Sure.
8.5.
And I'm probably the same on the flavour for a weird, just because it's not trying to be anything other than young and fresh. We can't grumble if it doesn't have enough flavour when it's only designed to be eaten at 2 or 3 days old.
There is some complexity to it, though. I'm just not sure I like that some of those sort of more unusual notes in it. It's a difficult one because I don't know if that's the packaging that it would be sold in, or if it's packaging that's been specifically chosen for this format, but I just don't think it's done it any favors, because the bits that I'm eating that have touched
100%.
the packaging are not very nice.
100% agree.
Whereas the cheese on this in the center is much better. So I'm in two minds about how to score this.
I can imagine you could make this yourself and you'd be eating it the next day with a salad or something, you know.
And it is a very simple form of cheese, but it does have some complexity to it, which is great. You know, it's really sort of showing the milk. I'm just concerned about the way that it's been presented.
Flavour?
And some of the flavours that's introduced to it.
Madam, what am I bid for flavour for this cheese?
7.5?
I'll go, I would have been an 8, 7.5.
We could go 8.
8 it is, thank you.
8.
Let's go 8.
Horses
8
for
for-
courses.
Yeah, definitely with a footnote about the packaging. I think it was.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of this class, and we have a tie.
Okay, which
there
ones do
are-
we have a tie on?
So the first cheese is F71095.
Yep.
And the second cheese is F71218.
1218.
1218, yes.
Okay.
That's 1218 is Hero's Little Dumpling.
Dumpling, yes.
1095 is here.
And 1218.
And so in the event of a tie, we don't change the scores, we just pick a winner, right?
You can either pick a winner that if you're convinced that one is better than the other, but if you feel like both are same, then the two cheeses can go through at the same time.
Ah.
I'm thinking, I'm not stating, I'm just thinking that delicious flavour always wins the day.
Mm-hmm.
So shall we just look at them again from a flavour perspective, because they both absolutely deliver from a theatre perspective.
Yeah.
Sure. So for the 1095, the score given was a 9. And for 1218, the score given was 8.5. It's very close.
So 1095, the flavour was 8.5, yes?
1095 was a 9.
Oh, I've got
And-
8.5 written down. Okay.
And 1218 was 8.5.
No. 128 was 9.5. And
Yeah,
1095
we
was
gave it
8.5.
9.5 for flavour.
1218.
1218. The scores for that one that we have, I've written down as we did them.
Oh, sorry. I was just looking at the texture. It was the flavor. Yes, you're right. That's
Yes.
9.5 and 8.5. Yes.
So for me, based on the 9.5 on flavour, 1218 should be the winner.
I've just
1218
tried
should
them
be-
both, and I think we were correct to give a 9 and a 9.5. I think 1218 does have the edge.
That's it then. So
So it's-
1218 is first and 1095 is second.
All right. So the entry number that wins this round would be F71218. And that brings us to the end of the goat's milk soft cheese class. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Butler's Farmhouse Cheeses, for our aprons, the nice bright aprons that the judges are rocking on. And I would like to thank the judges themselves. Thank you, Hero. Thank you, Richard. It was absolutely great listening to you talk about the cheeses. Great to have you all on board. And also, let me take this opportunity to remind about the live event on 17th of May, where the awards would be given for classes in categories Best English, Irish, Welsh, and Scottish cheeses, along with other awards that recognizes different talents and passion. Also, it's the day we'll be crowning the Supreme Champion for the year 2023. Thank you. Have a nice day.